Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today we're going to be talking about Hyperliquid because we've seen Hyperliquid run really pretty strongly over the past couple months, just like we've seen out of virtuals, which we did go over in a video yesterday. So I want to talk a little bit about Hyperliquid, see, kind of compare and contrast the two, maybe a little bit, look at the kind of the space that Hyperliquid is playing in, the problem they're trying to solve, all of that type of stuff. So anyway, let's go ahead, dive right in and take a quick look. What we can see though on the day is basically pretty red in the market. We've seen pretty strong sell-offs, kind of wholesale throughout the whole market. Fartcoin has been doing particularly well. This is one that is primarily off of like AI plays and stuff. AI is still doing relatively well in the market. I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag overall. We can see Pengu was up pretty big yesterday, down pretty big today, move up a decent bit today. So that, that's one that has been kind of a pretty strong gainer over the past couple of days. So this could be another one that we're seeing maybe kind of fall into the rotation. Overall, we do have 8% up on Hyperliquid. BitGet still doing pretty well, and then MNT doing decently also. So overall, I would say pretty strong red day in the market. Even if we look at the week, like not really too great overall on the week, just wholly through kind of the whole entire crypto market. Not looking great at all. Obviously Hyperliquid doing quite well, BitGet doing pretty well, and then Fartcoin, another one doing pretty well also. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Now looking at the Hyperliquid chart, I did want to point out a couple of things. We have seen it pull back from just shy of $29. We're sitting at just under 25. So a little bit of a pullback over the past probably 3 days or so. And then what we can see is we're sitting at about an $8.3 billion market cap with a fully diluted valuation of about 25. So again, this is another one that is going, in my opinion, going to get absolutely obliterated in the bull run because of all of the locked up supply. We can see max supply of 1 billion, a total supply of 999 some odd million. Looks like there might be just shy of 9,000 or just shy of 10,000 coins, that are out of supply for whatever reason. But we can see more importantly that the circulating supply is about a third of what we are seeing overall. So overall, things not looking particularly good on the market cap to fully diluted valuation kind of conundrum that we're seeing here. Again, as I've said before, I've said this quite extensively with Sui. Not necessarily a bad thing. One of the reasons I think we have seen this run from under $4 to over almost $30 in what is this, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, is because of this super choked supply. So there's obviously a lot of people looking to buy it, but just not a whole lot of supply that we are seeing yet. And so I think that's part of the problem that we are seeing here. If we do look at the Hyperliquid Foundation, we can see that the stack that they're essentially looking to improve finance, like decentralized finance generally, I think is kind of like the broad statement. We can see here, they're looking for oracles, spot, perps, vaults, governance, bridges, native stablecoins, and more, borrowing and lending, and auctions. So basically kind of anything you could imagine within the overall decentralized finance stack. They're kind of setting that up kind of on a foundation of native components in the Hyper EVM, and then kind of below that we have the Hyper BFT and the Hyper BFT consensus. We can see a little bit on it right here. The foundation of the Hyperliquid L1 is the Hyper BFT consensus, which lets a disparate set of nodes agree on the state of the world. The state comprises all applications, both those built as native components in the Hyper EVM. Now, the thing that I find really kind of quite interesting, or maybe I should say strange here, is this has really found a lot of success over the past couple of weeks, but this is nothing new or novel or, frankly, in my mind, interesting. I don't really get why this is running so hard. I'm trying to do some more research to figure out exactly why. Obviously, it's got a pretty clean website. We can see block time in 0.2 seconds, 200,000 transactions per second, 12 billion in daily volume, which by the way is almost nothing. Very, very small here, at least compared to the overall crypto market. Obviously, if we're looking to some of the smaller chains, this is actually really quite impressive, with 310,000 users. So decent user base, decent volume, I guess, for how young it is. But overall, not 100% sure why people there seems to be a level of trying to kind of unify liquidity. Liquidity's been fragmented, all this type of stuff. How they plan on doing this on yet another L1? Not exactly sure. Not exactly sure kind of what the purpose of this is in terms of trying to unify liquidity. So a bit of a strange take there. Now, before we continue on though, if you are interested in trading Bitcoin, Ethereum, any sorts of altcoins, it does not look like they have Hyperliquid listed quite yet, but several, 300 plus crypto futures here. Feel free to use my link in the description below to get started trading on BTCC. They have a special offer where they are doing a 10% bonus on first time deposits, and this is in addition to the up to $10,055 of bonuses per user. So really, really good deal. This is not something that you normally get, and basically if you're looking for a new place to trade anyway, from my opinion, you might as well get the extra free 10% on this. In addition to that, they have been around for over 13 years. So, been around probably longer than most of us, which is obviously good to see. As I said earlier, 300 plus crypto futures, up to 500x leverage. I don't ever trade that much. I would strongly discourage trading that high just because at that point it becomes very, very, very risky, at least in my opinion. Also, no VPN or KYC necessary. So if that's something that is interesting to you, you can feel free to kind of take advantage of that as well. So anyway, like I said, if you are interested in looking for a new place to trade, just feel free to use the link in the description below. Now, moving on, I want to take a quick look at the Hyperliquid stats too, because we can see, a couple discrepancies from what we've seen kind of on their main page. We can see, 261,000 total users. We can see about 500 billion of total volume, which again, this seems very, very strange. I'm interested to see kind of what we are kind of talking about here, and maybe this is more of like a market maker type platform, and that's kind of why we're seeing such high volume. But we can see 11 billion in deposits, close to 9 billion in total withdrawals, and then about 12 billion total notional liquidated. So we can see, even in open interest, you can see about 4.5 billion at its all-time high of total open interest. So, decently good over there. And then cumulative volume we can see is just about 526 billion, like we are seeing on the dashboard, with what appears to be about 8.5 billion on the day. So overall, pretty impressive numbers. I do want to look a little bit further into this though, just because we've seen a lot of really interesting things, showing up here. Obviously inflows, massive amounts of inflows here. I'm wondering if this is almost like a kind of like a foundational type of plug-in into maybe some of these larger chains, and that's how they're able to pull so much volume and so much money coming in. Maybe this is more of like an institutional thing, and this is kind of like running through like institutional type of stuff. We can see liquidation's been huge as well. So there's just a lot of really interesting things going on in here. We could see also trades going up, basically everything going up really, really, really strongly, which is fairly surprising to me. So I'm trying to figure out kind of what exactly is the play here. What exactly is kind of the real value? Like, why would we want to use Hyperliquid over like Jupiter on Solana, or I don't know, like there's just a lot of different interesting things going on here. Obviously I totally I buy the vision, right, of like unifying liquidity, helping decentralized finance like find its footing, all this type of stuff. We can see, they're essentially like the premier decentralized exchange is kind of like, that's their like main flagship product that they have right now. Low fees, up to 50x leverage, transparent, seamless. Very, very, very common for what we see in this space, right? So again, still kind of struggling to see what exactly all the hype is about. Obviously, high like transaction throughput is a good thing to see. Stuff like that. If you guys do have any sort of like insight as to like some various like details here, I always come kind of from a more like cynical or skeptical perspective of like, I know in crypto so many applications don't actually do anything of value or anything of use, particularly when we see such a constrained supply. That also to me looks like we could be seeing some games being played with tokenomics and whatnot. Also, when we're starting to see something like this, very, very common, right? Basically anybody can build a DEX. It's not particularly hard. It's not particularly time consuming. I'm not super sure what all goes into their layer one. There could be some really strong technical achievements going on there. Possibly, right? But overall, I always tend to kind of look at these with a level of skepticism, particularly given the price movement that we've seen recently. Are they just trying to sucker people into it for like exit liquidity? Essentially, it's kind of like where my brain always goes to first. I'm not saying that is the case with Hyperliquid, at least currently, but it does kind of beg the question on some of these things, because I'm not really understanding why the market needs this, right? And so if any of you have any sort of like insight or connections or anything to explain a little bit more about why this could be useful, that would be really helpful. I am going to continue to do my research here. If I find anything that is materially different from what I'm seeing here in terms of they have some truly novel groundbreaking thing, then yes, obviously I'll come back and I'll make a follow-up video and we can talk a little bit more about it. But currently it seems a little bit interesting. We obviously it's seen a wonderful move to the upside, and usually when we see that, I get a little bit skeptical that that we're looking to sucker in retail investors and then it's going to kind of collapse from there. So anyway, again, I have no idea for sure. This is not financial advice. These are just kind of some of my opinions based on what we've seen recently. As I talked about earlier in the week in the video that I made yesterday about Virtual's protocol, that to me makes very, very good sense as to why it's doing so well, the value, what people are building on there. Like, again, we're selling a vision more than anything else at this point in time currently with a lot of these things, but I understand kind of the point and the value and why people would be super jazzed about the virtual protocol. Hyperliquid, I'm a little bit skeptical. I don't necessarily, like, again, maybe I'm missing something, and I'm always just as capable of being wrong as anybody else, but I am going to kind of continue my research on Hyperliquid, but at least at first glance, not anything that I'm like all too impressed with, just given like this is one of the most like common spaces in all of crypto. So anyway, hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, please do give me a like and subscribe because it really does help me out. Also, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, just feel free to drop those in the comment section below. I do try to read and respond to all of my comments, so if you have anything you want me to see, that'd be a really great way to do so. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.